These are part of the mini grants stipends that we give to different faculty staff, not only in Bellevue College, also in different parts of Washington. Some of the projects that we're going to see, it been created thanks to the support of the Big Picture high school students. So it's been very cool to also be able to collaborate with high school students in these different projects. So it's like bringing high school students, college students, faculty, staff in order to create all types of interactive experiences. So this one is specific. You can talk about it, Bradley, and then yeah, please come here. Yeah, you can explain.
So when I met Maria, actually I knew who Maria was, but I didn't really, she was just coming in, I think, as a director, right? And I mentioned something about how interesting VR was and was wondering, first of all, if there would be a way to make a better memorization tool for the 5Ds of bystander intervention, and that's where that project began. And then Maria was like, well, you know, there's this grant and we need class ideas and you have ideas. So if you have them, let me know. And then I started to think about how frequently students are trying to memorize the names of these movements that they teach because they learn the first form of Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is a lot of sequences, a lot of movements and different things. And some of the names are in Chinese, they're not in English, you know, because I've studied in depth Wing Chun for about 20 years. And so basically, I was like, can you make a tool where the students can scroll forward and back maybe and see all the movements and maybe even see it in 3D? And she was like, yeah, we could do that. You cannot, but they can. And so actually, that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah.
And so the idea was to be able to, you know, for the students to see it and then reference it and then study it and then that way be able to improve it. So
yeah, so it's still a work in progress. The first step, Bradley recording of himself doing the movements, and then we use a tool that does motion capture. It's called Deep Motion, where you input a video and then you create a 3D animation version of the video. It was not that good. You know, like the result after using it in Deep Motion was very glitchy.
And that's where to me, like what a crazy dive into the pool of this world, because you know, I thought that they were gonna just do it all. And Maria's like, well, you gotta record the form. And I'm like, okay, so then I'm trying to record it and figure out how to do it well. And it's like, well, what do I do next? Well, now you need to drop it into Deep Motion. What's Deep Motion? I don't know. You know? And so now I get the subscription to Deep Motion and then I drop it into that. But then I had to play with it and figure out that you have to turn on hand tracking. If you don't turn on hand tracking, it makes the form look like, if you don't walk the feet, then it dances around like a bunny instead of like gripping the ground and doing it the way it's supposed to do it. And so then we got to pick an avatar and I'm like, well, what avatar do we pick?
Yeah.
You know, so then I have to think like you guys think. I'm like, well, how do you decide how to represent the student in the class? And so I personally wanted to choose a female student because at least not male identifying from the get-go, because a lot of the students I would teach are usually more the underdog type and they want them to feel empowered. I don't want them to be practicing with a big burly like Chuck Norris looking dude or something like that. And so then after that, I was like, well, let's try to find a character that looks kind of hip and kind of anime, maybe sort of kind of. So this is, you know, and it had to be free. And so, and we picked that from what side? Is that what?
Sketchfab.
Yeah, Sketchfab.
Yeah. And then the idea is right now we have the animation, and what is different from a video is like when you see it from the front, you cannot really see like how far away the shoulder goes or the elbow, like where are you putting your hands. So what is cool is like here you can see it from different perspectives. And then the plan later is to bring this into an app that will also be saying out loud the name of the movements and with text so students can really learn the different movements.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I say, one of the high school students was super helpful cleaning that animation and making it look good.
Yeah, even with the magic of that product, the Deep Motion product.
Yeah.
Honestly, the student had to tweak. It can't figure out the details of the human body yet. It thinks it can, but the student would have to take a hand that's doing this and then straighten all the fingers to make sure that it like moved in a very clean way before it came back. And it took hours and hours and hours. Yeah. I don't know how many hours.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
cool. Yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah. Great. So following this line of collaboration of mini grant projects with high school students, we have Maggie. Do you want to come up here and talk about your project?
Sure, but you should do most of
Well, I mean, you have the idea and the concept. I can show what we created, but
Yeah, so the idea was to recreate a model apartment, which is always intended to be temporary, that was exhibited in Moscow in 1959. And there were two that were exhibited, but this apartment is, it's not well known, and it was in this structure called the Jungle Gym. And the apartment was here, and that's
you do.
yeah, and so I did a lot of archival research to sort of recreate the apartment because nothing's really been written about it or published. And then so I had different archival collections, and also like design history stuff in design magazines. Sort of put together what the apartment would have looked like, but it was still hard to envision and piece together. And it's it has a lot of really important design objects in it. And so we worked, high school students did all the work, really.
Yeah, so basically Maggie has the idea is like, okay, I have these pictures, I have done this research, I know how it looks, but it will be super cool to have an actual like 3D representation of it, so it's easier to understand. So what Sophia did was taking all these pictures, kind of like a detective job, trying to really understand how the space was and then create her own version of it. And it's still also not completely finished. Some of the projects that you will see, we still have like 1 more month in order to finish the cycle 3. But you will see what she create is this space. Oh, there is already someone there looking at it. Where people can navigate around this, and also you can also join this space in virtual reality as well. So the next step will be, I mean, I'm not gonna be too technical now because we don't have much time left, but Spatial is closing. We need to find alternatives. We probably will host this on Sketchfab with some annotations of the places that are important and complement the 3D model with some valuable information, historical information. So it's like a fully educational experience, and then people can navigate the space and understand how people were living during the Cold War. So yeah, that's one of the other projects. Thank you so much. And then coming back to Celeste, and I don't think Celeste is here. Celeste, if you're here, please let me know. But I just wanted to quickly show that this is the first official project that we finish and release as a OER resource. So ideally, well, that's the end goal, that all the projects that we create and talk about today will have their own page on the OER Commons. So you will have a short project description, why this is for, and then the link to the interactive experience. So this is another project, and I'm not gonna spend too much time because we already covered it during the first showcase, but it's schema assimilation experience and trying to understand what's the difference between assimilation and accommodation on an interactive way. So you can drag and drop different elements here, but then when you drag something that doesn't belong, creates a different node, and then is like a interactive game and an interactive way of showing that concept. Let's see what else. Sorry, let me go back to my main presentation. So I think that's all from the people that are, am I missing someone here in person? No. So right now I want to stop sharing my screen and ask for the people that are online. I don't know, David, if you want to cover your projects and the projects that you have been working on, you will be showcased here in the big screen of the XR Lab. Or anyone, Shanna, I know you mentioned you are ready to present as well. There is not a specific order. Okay, great, Shanna. So please feel free to mute yourself. Let me remove the camera here Thanks for coming, Amy. Yeah. And then yeah, Morgan can go next. Yeah, that's great. Shanna, if you want to talk about your project.
Okay. Let me reduce echo here. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my project, the impetus for getting this very generous grant was to increase awareness about the program that I teach in, which is healthcare management and leadership. We have a bachelor's program and a certificate program, and the bachelor's program started 10 years ago. The certificate program started about 3 years ago. And we felt like it didn't get a lot of attention, and yet it really fills an important need in the community. Most of our students do have healthcare experience and they'd like to progress in their career. Therefore, they'd like to get a bachelor degree. Perhaps they've even been told they need the degree in order to move up. And the certificate is a 3-course certificate, so 15 credits. And that's designed for people almost like professional development for people who are mainly already working in healthcare and maybe they want to target one of our courses, like they want to learn more about project management or finance or human resources. And so they can take 1 to 3 classes. If they take all 3 classes of their choosing, they can apply for and get a certificate. And then a follow-up, a benefit of that is we found that many of the students who started in the certificate program have actually gone on and choose to stay and get their bachelor's. So we know that we're providing a value to the community and we're just trying to get the word out. So initially when we started working on this, our goal was to use Spatial IO and to develop a module that we could share in the community and also put into Canvas other courses. For example, the FYS first year courses, other courses in our division to let people know about our program. And the first draft of Spatial IO, it was definitely a working draft. And in conjunction with Ron Austin, who is our fantastic Associate Director of Immersive Learning, and EUN, our student employee, we decided, maybe there's another tool that we could use. And so this draft is actually in ThingLink, which I did not have experience in. ThingLink is a company started by Finnish from Finland CEOs. It's headquartered in Palo Alto, and it started, I think, in 2019. And as a way to connect physical objects to digital content. And then later it grew to include other kinds of things like video, other forms of media. So I won't show everything in here, but this is our home site. The other thing I want to mention that I think maybe part of the reason why we migrated from Spatial IO, and I've seen wonderful modules in Spatial IO, is the demographics of the people who are coming to us. So it's not running start students. Our oldest student, for example, is 76 years old. So some of our students, it does skew older than the typical Bellevue College student. So it's not like all of our students are gamers or have a lot of experience with interactive content that they can get online. So we did want something pretty simple. So this step into a new role in healthcare, that's actually our homepage on Bellevue College. And if you click here, so we want it to be pretty simple. And let's see, Maria, I think I can click. So here would be some content. What are you going to get from this bachelor's program or certificate? Your goal would be able to be better prepared to step into a leadership role. This building is our T building on campus, and the T building is the health sciences focused building. And it's amazing. It's got some really, really high-tech, innovative labs. So we have like a real lab space where the ultrasound students can learn how to do ultrasound. We have a space for radiation oncology students to learn using a demo machine, not a real machine, of course. Oops. Uh-oh, wait a moment. I just lost my... Maria, can you help me bring that back
I
up?
I have the link. Yes, let me share it with
Sorry, I
you.
just clicked too far. Wait a moment. Let's see if I can
Yeah.
get,
It's on the chat now, and also for anyone else that want
okay, it's
to
in the chat.
access.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to pull it up again. Okay, so it is intended to be interactive and it's intended to be pretty, simple, basically. So welcome to our program. There's some video, and actually I shot a video last fall that we actually didn't have a vehicle to use it in. So we were able to parse this video. And again, we're highlighting our building, welcome to the HCML program. And there's a few other things that we can show here besides our map. Oops, I don't want to, how can I get back without, I want to get out of this screen. So there's a range of content here, and it's a mix of like video, there's an interview of me, there's more information about the resources in the building. I was hoping to pull up, so there's actually some other images in here. Let me see if I can get to them of like our equipment and the different rooms. Let's see if I can get view third floor map. Okay, I don't want to just get to the map. Okay, so you could click onto the actual website if people wanted to learn more about the actual admissions program. There is also some video content of me being interviewed about the program. There's also some photos. So an advantage of using the ThingLink is it's actually able to integrate all these different forms of media in a pretty easy way. I really appreciate Ron's and EUN's help because in thinking of this, I think it's easier for our target audience to use this and navigate this tool to learn about our program. So thank you. And we're still continuing to work on this. There are a few enhancements we want to make, but I appreciate, so we shot video, we did still photography. We have transcript of some information, and we have this kind of short and easy interactive content for people to navigate.
Thank you so much. Good. Morgan, you can go next. And yeah, I'm actually not sure how many people will be presented, but we want to keep each presentation around like 5 minutes or so, if that's okay.
Yeah,
The-
I'll use
the-
even
yeah.
less. I set it up to be
Okay.
like a 2 to 3 minute, just quick
Okay,
in and out.
that's
So
great.
okay.
Thank you.
Let me share my screen and then you let me know. Can you see?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So I set up this page. This is a Canvas course. Hi everyone, I'm Morgan. I have a background of over 20 years experience as a commercial graphic designer. And through my time in the VR lab, I became interested in what it means to think about advertising and marketing in a VR space because you're moving from this 2D world into a 3D world, but it's not the same 3D world as what we experience in person when we walk around in our day-to-day lives. And so since this is a course full of content, it doesn't have an interactive experience like some of these other presentations. So I decided to kind of take a different approach to showing you what I've built and tell you about a little bit about what happened during my process of building this course. And so my header here, building a course about a field that won't stop changing under you, was very much my like day-to-day life with this course. So the course itself is called Experiential Marketing and the Art of Branding in XR. It is a 12-week course that's planned out to lead up to one final project with a midterm assignment. It's again fully OER. It has over 60 pages in it. Some of those pages are assignment pages. Because I needed to build this in a way that it would be accessible to those that aren't at Bellevue College, to everyone, I have used Claude to help me code the background HTML for the pages. So because here at Bellevue, we use City Labs to make things look fancy and nice and be accessible, and I didn't have that option. So another hat that I wear is an instructional designer with interactive e-learning, and I'm very much entwined with City Labs, and I couldn't do that. So this was also an experimentation for me a little bit to see what Claude could do for me to make the design of the pages something that would be appealing yet accessible to more than just those at Bellevue, like I said. I have included 2 worksheets inside the course that can be downloaded by the students as a takeaway to help them with their assignments. And then my 3 here during the process, like I said, of creating this course, 3 different platforms / experiences retired or were closed down. And so I would have all this really fantastic material and sending, the students to additional pages with more information. And it was like, nope, got to go back and rewrite that whole section. So like I said, course is broken down into 12 weeks. The first weeks 1 through 3 are the foundations, getting them started with what it means to be in an XR landscape, what is branding, what is experiential marketing. Then we go into the story of the space, learning about like the narrative design, what spatial branding is, what in-game advertising is, because that's a different experience than just like an educational XR space. There is a midterm assignment. The way that I built this course is so that every week they're working on something that builds to these checkpoints so that it's not just a surprise in the middle where they have to create everything. They can actually go back and use their material and expand it to make, by the end of the course, a full XR brand experience campaign that's either for a real company that they have chosen or a realistic company if they want to be extra creative. I have a week on accessibility, the psychology of it, what it means to like, is this appropriate to do? Maybe we should stop and think about, how does this kind of marketing affect different audiences, like children versus adults? And then, as I mentioned, at least 3, it was actually a few more, but at least 3 of the things that I was using as either learning experiences and or resources retired. So Meta, Horizons World, Spatial, as has been mentioned here a few times, and Rec Room. So I had to find alternatives. And I also decided that this was actually good content to show how, again, XR is evolving and how things aren't necessarily permanent. And so we have to evolve with it. And then finally, I'll just close it up real quick by saying that I'm down to the final 2 weeks of this course, going back through and making sure that the final project makes sense for all the previous weeks, all the learning that we've done. And then I need to do a final kind of quality pass. There's some things I want to do to make it a little bit more visually appealing, but otherwise the content, the layout is all there. So I'm down to my final tweaks and we'll definitely have it finished by deadline. Okay.
Thank you, Morgan, for sharing. I don't know if the microphone is muting the claps, but we're clapping here in the lab. So thanks for sharing. Great progress. I'm glad you were able to use Cloud with Canvas. I've been using it too, and I think it makes so much faster the design process. I really enjoy it for creating my courses.
Yeah.
Thanks. So Frank, I have you next on the list. I don't know. Yeah, perfect. You're sharing your screen. Oh, but we cannot hear you. No. I don't know if he's maybe like choosing a different audio, like microphone. So if you click on the audio, oh yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, good. I'm on an instructor podium, so I'm messing around with it. I have a course called Engineering Graphics, and the core part of the course is 3D visualization. What you're seeing on screen is a sample object where you have a top, a front and a side view, and then you create an isometric. The course covers this, doing it step by step by step. Visualization is a 3D skill. So the idea of our project was as a means of helping people visualize, have them play a game. They run through a maze, and after they go through the maze, they come back to a monolith selection station, and they try to pick which maze is the one that they've been in. And I'll give it to David to demo. Let me
All right,
stop.
and I can do my share screen right here. How's it going, everybody? My name is David Wickstrom, currently the XR Lab coordinator, and I'm lead developer for a company called Mixed Reality. I'm out here helping out with some of these projects. Let's see here. So we got the Spatial Maze project. So Spatial IO, you've heard that's come up a few times throughout these presentations, and it's closing next month. And it was actually a pretty big deal because a lot of these projects have gotten to their final stages. And then we received this nice email about them closing just a few weeks ago. So we needed to really hard pivot. But a couple of the projects were in their final stages of MVP, like Frank's Spatial Maze Challenge, for example. And so for this project, we have the Spatial Maze game. We have information panels. You can play it in VR first person or in a third person mode straight through your browser. And then we actually can go into our maze, level 2 coming soon. This is the minimum viable product. Level 1, we have a selection of all of these mazes right here, represent our level 1. So we'll go in. This R4 is just a little debugging tool for us for demo purposes. So we explore the maze. We will run around this spatial maze, and our goal is to learn the layout of the maze, really put it into memory, then navigate back to the start and make a selection between all of the mazes. So as you saw that little debug thing that said R4, so that would be randomized maze number 4. We'll just count through 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll make our selection. So the user would only get one selection to try and make it right. And if they do make the selection, they get their correct state. And every time they go into this, it's randomized for every maze environment. This one says explore R5, so we'll hit our explore trigger and move back to the very beginning. So I know that this maze is going to be the wrong one, and we'll just show you the incorrect state. So we have an entire game flow. Your whole world falls apart away from you at this point. This might be going a little quick, but we don't have a ton of time. And now we can return to the main menu. So the concept was for people to really navigate this 3D space, return and make a selection of what they just explored. And every one of these mazes are just slightly different. Level 2, level 3. We have a good template here. We built a strong base to where we can actually pivot from the Spatial IO platform out to another WebGL platform if we want, which I can show up here. We have another version of this working in Three.js right now, and we can also explore this. Three.js is an open source JavaScript kind of like wrapper for WebGL, and this allows us to deploy just onto a web browser. We have full control of our 3D environment here, and it's our pivot away from the spatial from our initial MVP product. So that's the presentation on the Spatial Maze Challenge. Frank, if you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, but just checking in our time. Do we have a minute, Maria?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so David actually had some people run through it. David, comments, feedback you got from that?
Yeah, a lot of the feedback after they ran through Spatial was just needing more information on what the actual experience was about, what the actual objective was, and we made those changes and iterations over time to support a wide variety of player bases. We found that people who are experienced with games on Spatial, I think that was mentioned before, had a really easy time with this, but people who are new to Spatial and navigating around 3D environments actually found it to be pretty difficult. So in this new version, we actually have all of the controls listed down here, screen reader, accessible controls. You can navigate around the environment just in your web browser or in a virtual reality headset as well. So I'll stop sharing here.
Thanks,
And
David. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool project, and nice to see also the pivot from Spatial to WebXR and just like getting creative, last minute changes, but taking the same concept to a different platform. So good job working on that. I think we have Nancy next. Nancy, I don't know if you want to introduce your project first, or David, do you have it handy to share your screen? Okay, Nancy, I see you're in mute. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to share real quick and then let David take over. So this is an oceanography project, and I've been working on this concept maybe for years. And this is where we're at, and I've needed a lot of help. And so Ala Grace and David and Ron and then Lauren have all been helping me. So my mantra is ocean acidification is happening in Washington State, and you can do something about it. And that's something that people still don't understand. And basically, the excess carbon dioxide in the air is mixing with the ocean. About 30% of it goes there. So it's a carbon sink. And there's some chemical reactions that happen that cause the pH to lower and make carbonate less available for making shells. Some of the worst ocean acidification in the world is here. And so that's kind of my big message. In working with the XR Lab over the years, I've seen ocean acidification VR that Stanford had done, and it's pretty good. It's a little old, and at some point a couple of years ago, another group did a peer review of it, and they concluded that explaining how the shells were affected really could be improved. And so that's kind of originally was the focus of this, of the grant. But I've had students that have been working on these projects for like 5 years. Ron's come to my classroom. We've made ocean acidification animations, which are great. And so then decided we're going to organize all of this into rooms. And just going to flip over here. And so we have all of these rooms in Share Articulate. I don't know, there's about 7 or 8 of them. And inside of them are different aspects. And now I'm going to let David take over because we had the spatial IO concept, and we've thought about ThingLink, and now I think it's 3JS. Have I got it right? That David's working in. And so I really appreciate all the help and the opportunity to do this. When I saw Morgan's work, I thought, wow, I really appreciate how she's organizing that class because I was having a similar issue with Canvas. It's just too flat. And so this XR work is really helping to make it more experiential, I feel, for the students for the ocean. Okay.
Yeah, and this was the initial project that we had within Spatial, an actual 3D environment that we can navigate around, have information presented in the different rooms within the environment. Probably moving a little quick. This is a 3D scan of an actual shell, but like we said, we had to pivot pretty hard, and Spatial is closing. So actually, can I move this little taskbar? Yeah, there we go. So we ended up moving over to ThingLink, which is a really great platform for like creating, like you can make a bunch of like 360 worlds and put them together and put annotations on everything. And we have 3D viewer like models as well. We can scan in our models. And,
You're not sharing anything. We're not
Oh, yes, we can see it, but Nancy, Zoom has this new update that is a little icon where you have like different windows. So you have the meeting window, and then next to it, David's screen.
So you can see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we have this Oyster scan with annotations in here. But so from our pivot, we have two ways to go. Either using ThingLink, which is a really good option, or creating our own space, which is what we ended up doing over the last couple weeks. So right here is an actual 360 sphere. This is just a placeholder panorama. And within these rooms, down here on this navigation bar, we can see we have all of the rooms that have all of the information that we need for this course. So this is actually a project created in Three.js. We have these 360 spheres. We have opening messages. We can navigate to our different rooms, and picture that every one of these placeholders is going to be replaced with a actual panorama 360 image that we will be able to navigate in between. And we have our information. In each one of these, we'll navigate through what is ocean acidification. So everything that was in Spatial IO in all of those rooms have been transferred over into this project as well. And we have our video carousels. We have our different acidification chemistries. And every room had a specific goal on the way that the information was presented to the user. And Nancy, would you want to touch on that, on the way that the information was being presented to the student as they were transitioning from room to room?
Yeah, I can talk to that. I just can't see I see you. That's all I see.
Yeah.
So
it's based on the room layouts we set initially.
Yeah. So we have a starting point, and that's just to kind of give a background into why the oceans are important, and then a room talking about what is ocean acidification. And then we wanted to group ocean acidification on a worldwide basis, but then focus on it in the Pacific Northwest. And mostly the students have done projects about ocean acidification in the Pacific Northwest. And a part of that is having the oyster scan, where we can do like a sort of a dissection or a labeling of the parts of the oyster. And then last fall, Ron and I put on a mini conference, Voices of Action, Protectors of Marine Life. So we have some really great speakers that came in and talked about their stories and how they built their careers. I still have students viewing this. I can't remember the exact number, but it's like 500 views on these videos. So we're collecting all of this. And then the last is, if you want to learn more, you can go watch Chasing Coral, or do an interactive Lost Cities exploration, which is about coral from Ruth Gates' lab, who was a world-renowned marine biologist specialized in coral who passed away a few years ago. So just a lot of information to collect together, and that's kind of what's in the rooms, right?
Yeah. And all these spaces were built out since we built it in Three.js. All these spaces, we have full control over the 3D environment. So we are planning on doing the 360 spheres and filling that with the content, but also in the section where we can actually, sorry if you hear a buzzer in the background. We can actually put like the actual 3D model within the space. We also have the ability to enter VR mode here as well. And these sites are, well, particularly this site is built with accessibility in mind. So we have keyboard controls. You can use arrow keys to move between everything. We have tab focus controls. So if you're actually tabbing between different objects, you can make your selections. We have autofocus if you're tabbing between, and enter to select. It's also available with like screen readers, and there hasn't been the accessibility visual pass for coloration or colors yet, but that will be the next step. And we're still on track to completing this within the deadline. So yeah, this is a pivot from Spatial IO.
Yeah, so
Thank
I just
you.
have to say a big thank you there for being
Yeah,
on
no
track.
problem.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so we're going a bit over time, but I think we just need 10 more minutes. There is just two more people that want to present. So again, if we can keep it like 5 minutes, that would be great. Carlos, are you still around? And would you like
Maria,
to?
one question.
Yes.
Should I present Tom's real quick?
I mean, sure, yeah, it's a cool project. So
All right,
I
I'll
think,
just
sorry.
do one more screen share real quick. So
Yeah.
Tom is another faculty member, mathematics teacher. His project, he wanted to recreate a tool like Desmos where students could put in these formulas to build out these graphs. And so we have a 3D graph right here in the tool that, that the students were using. We also built this out in Spatial IO initially, had to pivot, and ended up building out our own version of the 3D tool to be able to plot different segments of the graphs and edit our graphs in real time. And also, here we go, we'll plot ride vehicle. The initial concept was for students to be able to plot out their graphs within a 3D environment, but then also be able to interact with it. And so the user would be able to adjust the actual scale of the graph, and it has VR mode. And I think you might be able to see this, but this is once you enter VR mode, you're able to navigate around the 3D environment. You're still able to plot out your graphs and scale the world as well, and gave you the ability to actually, that might be a little crazy, but gave you the ability to actually fly around the environment so you can interact and navigate around your 3D plots in a very unique way. So that was Tom's project. Just wanted to cover that super quick. And this is at its minimum viable state, focused on accessibility as well for screen readers and the VR controls. So I'll stop sharing here.
Thanks, David. Thank you so
Yep.
much. Another cool project. there is so much to see and talk. So thanks for your patience and staying for the whole session. We only have two more projects and we will be done pretty soon. So Carlos, if you want to talk about your project, if you're still around.
Yes, I am.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, I'm ready to go. So I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. And okay, folks, can you see my screen?
No.
Oh
But I
no.
don't know.
How about
Okay,
now?
now I see it. Now I see
Perfect.
it. Yes.
Okay, so here we are with just a quick rundown of our project of creating the American Hop Museum and Yakima Valley Library's VR tour. So what we were setting out to do was we wanted to build on some success that we had with creating a VR 360 video of a that we built by after receiving a grant from the Washington State Library back in 2022. It's kind of interesting that my supervisor um, with the previous group before I came onto the project, she had been really interested in trying to figure out ways to bring in VRs into libraries. And so she knew that people in the local community were really interested in local hop culture and history because our area grows like 3/4 of the entire world's hops. So it was just kind of a low-hanging fruit, so to speak, pardon the pun. So that being said, she then, of course, saw this grant and said, "Hey, this is a great way to jumpstart it." So we received those monies, and she started kind of floundering because she didn't really know of too many people in the libraries that had a lot of expertise in this. And to make things a little tougher, the person that did take on the project ended up leaving. So it just so happened that Bruce contacted my boss through different channels and encouraged my supervisor to join the NWXR group, and that really helped her get into the mix of things and getting some more ideas on the project. So that's just a little bit of the background of like why we did this in the first place. What was the impetus? And then so I start on and in 2022 later that summer, and I'm an archivist, I'm a librarian, I'm a historian. So that is why I was so interested in bringing a museum and wanting to feature artifacts and all kinds of other things featuring local history into this kind of project. So the previous project, as I mentioned before, featured hop processing facilities and a 360 video tour now featured on YouTube. The link's right there, and I can share that in the chat later. But we wanted to go further into the history of the hop growing culture, but I knew I couldn't do this alone. I didn't want to just have like a tour of just some random place. I really wanted to get different stakeholders involved. And so I was lucky enough to have a not only very gracious director of the American Hop Museum up there in Toppenish receptive to this project. She also leveraged her contacts to kind of put their input into this project. So we had local experts from people who've been growing hops out there for more than a century, suppliers, and of course the staff from the museum were all gracious enough to lend their time and help us with lend their literally their time and their voices to this project. I don't know if you can see this, but there's like a little microphone figure in the middle of that image there.
Yes, we
That
can see that.
is, yeah, that indicates that if you click on that during the tour, you will hear somebody's voice explaining what you're looking at. And each of these little text blocks and pictures in the tour itself, you can actually click on, and it'll be much larger, and you can just go around in that space and read to your heart's content. So, without further do, I want to go into the actual tour and show you all what exactly I'm talking about, because it's a little more fun to actually see it than just talk about it. So yeah, when you first get into the Hop Museum, and they're noted that there's more than only 5 in the entire world. This is one of those really cool little spaces. So yeah, if you go into here, you get to see this a little closer and see like what's going on this wall here. And so yeah, we took hundreds and hundreds of little photos of all of these different spaces throughout the museum, so folks can come in here and experience this tour firsthand. And so when you navigate the space, you'll find a little bubble that takes you from different room to different room, and that's how you navigate this space. And yeah, it's just been a real treat getting into these pictures and seeing what each of these uh, different images has to offer, and the history. And yeah, we have completed this project, and we've also recorded a 360 tour of this space, and it's again narrated by a local grower experts, and folks can learn more about Yakima Valley's rich hop growing history and its collaboration with Yakima Valley Libraries.
Thank you so much. It's also,
Yeah.
as you can see, it's also in SIGBIG, that is one of the projects we presented for the class, also about the museum.
That's
So
right.
SIGBIG,
The platform we use was SeekBeak. Thank you,
yeah,
Maria.
yeah, for sure. It's a great tool for 360 tours and experience similar to this. Thanks. So I think we have one last presentation. Mark, are you still around? And would you like to share your screen and talk about your project?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. Sorry for the echo. I'm in Uganda right now, and I'm sitting in a bathroom, so I don't disturb my wife. So, let me share my screen here.
What time is it there?
It's 2:30 in the morning.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for being at 2:30 in the morning and doing this presentation. Really appreciate it.
Can you guys see my screen? Yes, I hope
Yes,
so.
we can.
Okay, so the project I'm working on is a community health worker trauma-informed care simulation. I teach trauma-informed care along with a whole bunch of other community health worker courses at Lower Columbia. This is one of the most difficult courses to present to students because it really needs interaction between clients or patients who have experienced trauma, and in some cases, very difficult trauma. So why the trauma-informed simulation is important? It gives a safe, repeatable practice process for the students. It helps them build confidence and self-efficacy, especially in individuals that have not experienced different forms of trauma, but also individuals who tend to be more introverted. This gives them an opportunity to actually work with a safe individual that's not going to create a negative experience for them in an encounter. We use as the background for this work with the students an electronic patient record system, EHR Go. So I choose typical patients for them to explore a patient record and then take that information and put it into the simulation. So for example, here's a patient that's a very challenging one, a 19-year-old female who's suspected of prostitution, and trying to work with her. And then just really quickly, the phases of the project. So the first phase was a text-based interaction between the CHW student and the AI, in this case, ChatGPT, which went great, but it wasn't fantastic because it was somewhat scripted, simply because the students were learning how to create prompts that they would interact with the CHW simulation. So they would spend maybe at most 3 minutes in that text-based interaction. Phase 2 is a voice interaction process, and a group of students, about 7 students, and I worked through this process in the actual trauma-informed course. students ended up spending 30 minutes having back and forth conversations with the AI. And I can tell you the response from the students, several responses. One was, it was scary. Two, it was scary from the standpoint that they felt like they were talking to a real person on a phone, essentially. Others said it was fun. Others said that it was a fantastic opportunity for them to learn, to apply the skills that they've learned throughout their 2 years of coursework in CHW work. The third phase is creating a video and audio interaction between the CHW and a meta patient. So let me show you the CHW training simulation. So this is the voice-based simulation that we created. And it's great because it's great not only for the student, but it's great for me because it actually allows them to be scored on their work with the simulated patient, but then also to be able to send me a conversation log. So I don't know how well it's going to do with my bandwidth right now, but the student puts themselves in as the user. And then they can choose from a set of a couple different patient scenarios. Let me try and zoom in so you can see this better. Okay, there we go. And they can choose Ashley, who's a methamphetamine user, or they can use Maria, who's a postpartum depression patient, or they can use EHR Go and load some information from a custom patient. And so I actually chose one here, Terrell, who's suffering from diabetes and Alzheimer's dementia. And so if I were to take Terrell's information, paste it directly into the custom patient piece, load the patient, okay, and then go over to the conversation itself. Now, a couple things before we dive into the conversation. The student can change the emotion controls. There is a standard set, but this is simply a slider based upon, do you want that patient to be more defensive, have more anxiety? We'll crank it up here for demonstration purposes. And then what they're trying to do is get scores across a competency-based system for community health workers, communication, empathy, assessment, and support scores. And these scores are not easy to get. They actually are very difficult. Your conversation, you have to be very thoughtful about the conversation that you're having with the client. And the conversation on the back end is driven by ChatGPT. So all I have to do is push to talk, and the first response you're going to hear, and this is still a bug that we're trying to work out, is a computer sounding voice. But the second response typically tries to emulate the patient. And there's a long lag between the first response, which is still a problem that we keep trying to work through. Okay, here we go. Terrell, it's good to see you. How are you feeling today?
I'm wondering, yeah, if you need to enable your microphone.
It should have. Oh, let me try it. Yep, let me try that again. Let's try it again. Terrell, it's good to see you. How are you feeling today? This is the long delay. Okay, well, always during presentations. So Maria can attest to this. This thing actually does work.
Yeah, I've seen it working and it's pretty cool. Because I feel it got the let's try again, but maybe, can you try again to talk? Or,
yeah,
or
let
maybe,
me try again. Let me just reset it.
or maybe just a slow internet connection.
set the active user. We'll paste travel information, load the patient. Hello, Terrell. How are you doing this morning?
Okay, yeah, this time will.
Almost there. This could be a Uganda issue. So while we're waiting for Terrell to respond, if he does, we actually took this to a company called Curio, who is looking at helping us outsource this to other schools once we get it set on phase 3. And phase 3 is actually the part where we are creating the meta-human interface in a telehealth kind of environment. Curio is interested in taking that into a VR environment where you can see the patient actually in a typical space that they would be using, such as their home or in a clinic setting or something like that. Where we're at with this. So with all of the changes in meta-human AI simulation, the different companies that have been acquired by Netflix and other companies, it slowed down our process on the virtual reality simulation, but we're going to be working with MetaHuman and in-world AI at this point to see what we can get to create a prototype. And we're close to that. So that's it. Sorry for the bugs.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, okay. I think that's it. That was, I don't know, I lost count, like over 10 different projects. So it's cool to see all the uses of XR technologies and how you can apply it to so many different projects. So thank you so much for coming. I will let you know we already went like half an hour over time. So thanks for the people that stay here. We won't be meeting during the summer with the network, but we will be meeting back again in September, and I will be sending a newsletter with information about all our next meeting. So enjoy your summer, and I hope I will see you in September.